Hey, I'm Chris Troy, host of St. Clair County RESA's Moment in History. And I'm here in downtown Port Huron at one of the most recognized buildings in Port Huron, the John Miller Homestead. Now, John Miller was born February 1st, 1813 in Sugarloaf, Canada. John Miller and his family moved to Rochester, New York in 1826. But Miller would drop out of school and move to St. Clair County with his older brother, Jacob, in 1828. Jacob was in the lumber business and had hired 15-year-old John to work with him. At the age of 17, John left his brother's company and purchased a farm near Wadhams. While farming did not work out, John took a position as a clerk at the Black River Steam Mill Company. Over the next few years, Miller would work his way from clerk to general manager of the steam mill company, and then later became a huge stockholder in the mill. It was over this time that Miller would begin making investments in early Port Huron real estate. In fact, on July 1840, Miller would buy 2 lots totaling $600 from Daniel Harrington, who was the early father of Port Huron and had actually named the town. It was on one of these lots, 1100 Military, that Miller would build his first home. On October 29, 1843, John Miller married Flora Hull. This marriage produced 2 children, daughter Clara and son John Edgar. In 1865, though, Clara would die at the age of 17. In March 1855, Miller sold his shares of the mill and went into business with William Stewart, whose hardware store was located between Water and Pine Streets. In 1856, the Cyrus Miles Company opened the first bank in Port Huron. After only a few months, though, of the bank's existence, major stockholder W.L. Bancroft decided to sell his shares. John Miller, along with Elliott Brockway, made arrangements to buy them. In 1861, Brockway, like Bancroft, would sell his shares to the bank to Miller, which allowed Miller to change the name of the bank from the Miles and Company to the Banking House of John Miller. In 1868, Cyrus Miles retired from the bank, and John would bring his son into the company. Miller decided on November 22, 1865, to build a home that would reflect his status in the community. It would be this home behind me that Miller built. Built in the Italian villa style, Miller's home would make him neighbors with Daniel Harrington. In 1870, the John Miller and Son Bank became absorbed by the First National Bank. On September 13, 1875, John Miller passed away at the age of 60. Since his home had been deeded to Flora in 1843, she would remain in the home until her death on May 1893. In 1900, John Miller's grandson Frank moved into the home with his family, followed by his father in 1901. But in 1902, despite requests from his son Frank, the home was no longer used as a family home, as John Edgar decided that the home would be leased out to International Business College and School of Shorthand. In 1913, the home would be converted into apartments and remained that way until 1920, when the Port Huron Chamber of Commerce took over the building and housed the Boy Scouts of America, the Port Huron Sarnia Baseball Club, and the Port Huron Rotary in this building. In 1938, the address changed of the home from 1100 Military to 1101 Military. The building was also being used as a baby clinic for Dr. Treadgold. During World War II, Mueller Brass leased the building and opened an employees' club. In March 1944, Mueller Brass began negotiations with Edward R. Moore, who wanted to take over the building to be used as his world headquarters for his insurance company. In 1945, an agreement was reached, and the building became known as the Moore and Wright and Company Insurance Underwriters. In 1946, the John E. Miller home would go through an extensive renovation. A large copper dome would now cap the original tower, and a large portico with 6 white columns would be added as well. The Moore Wright Company would be changed to the Moore Ponvich Company. That company would then relocate in 1981. As far as this building, it was purchased by the Albert family, who housed attorneys until 1983, then donating it to the Widows' Mite Foundation, a nonprofit foundation for the purpose to encourage spiritual growth on a personal and community basis. While this structure has had its fair share of owners and stories, it remains as a visual reminder that anyone can become a beacon to the community, just like John Miller did. For Moment in History Extra, I'm Chris Troy, reminding you that history lives in all of us.